Okay, here we are. First thing I'm going to do is cut out just about everything so I can sync the video and recording from the Modular, which is, how do I do that again? Okay, like this for example, bam. That's my granular feedback still going. Sync. Find a sweet spot here. That's nice. I was actually going to use this mic as well for doing some vocals, which would be a first. But then I got very afraid. No, that's just kidding. I didn't manage to hook it up to the camera and at the same time the Modular, so can't do it all. Okay. Now on to the recording. So in this patch I'm using the 3-tom MS-22. Now, let's do that again. So in this patch I'm using the MS-22 as a percussion unit. I'm using two different voices, which is the kick as well as the tom. Let's cut out everything else and see what we have. What you're hearing now is only the MS-22. As you can hear, there is a kick and a tom. Like I mentioned, the tom is changing in frequency as well, so you get different pitches. Now, how do we do that? To do this I'm using a little trick which is called Droid. The Droid master is over there and it's receiving two trigger inputs. There I stumble over my words, so I need to start my recording again. If you hear me say the same thing 5 times, that's because the recording needs to be right. In this patch I'm using MS-22 as a percussion unit, doing two different sounds, being a kick and a tom sounds. Let's cut everything else out and see what we have. So while the bass line is fading out, you're hearing the kick and several pitches of tom. So there's one big trick in play, which is a Droid unit, which is sitting over there. The Droid is receiving two different trigger inputs, one for the kick and the other one for the toms. Now, I need to explain this on a diagram which is coming later, but the kick sound can be made easily using a sine wave if you put a decay envelope into the pitch. So what I'm doing for the kick is I increase the resonance, which gives us something close to a sine tone, and then in the FCV I'm sending in the decay envelope, and then you get a sound which is typical for an analog kick. When I decrease the resonance again, but ping the input here, then you get a tom sound. I can then use the FCV input, not for a decay envelope, but for setting the different pitches of the tom. So there you have it. This is actually a patch technique that you can use in any kind of filter, not just a 3-tom. There's a number of things that make the 3-tom very nice for this, which is the little switching matrix here, as well as the fact that you have quite a lot of control over what you actually want to do. So if you increase the resonance, it goes a bit wonky, but by lowering the resonance you can actually change the volume. It's quite subtle, but at this moment the kick is a bit louder than the toms, and it stays like that until you're all the way at edge of self-resonance, and then the toms come up again. So changing the different levels of the two sounds can be done like this. Also with the gain you get less of a kick. And these two CV buttons are not very useful in this one. If you reduce the frequency CV all the way down, then you've got nothing left of the kick. But I'm using such a steep envelope that whatever you set this at, except for 0, it's going to have a kick effect anyway. So that's basically it for this patch. Let's take a look at the diagram and go in depth on the MS-22 and how I patched it to achieve these two sounds. So at this moment my recording for the video is actually done, so I'm just going to play around and have a jam.